Good morning po. Mga ma'am and sir na nasa likod, maaari po sanang dito po muna tayo sa harap po mesto kasi wala pong mag-i-stay dito sa harap. Pangit naman po tignan na blanco po dito sa harap. Maraming salamat po.
Cleaned out the shelf, trying to make more space for herself. Woke up to the golden light, soft breeze dancing feels so right. Coffee steaming, sky so blue. Every little thing reminds me of you. We take it slow, just you and me. Barefoot, walking by the sea. Feel the rhythm
in time, sway into the ocean's rhyme. Nothing else we need to know. Just breathe it in, let it flow. Oh, these sunny days, they make me feel alive. Let the worries fade, just enjoy the ride. Hold my hand, let's chase the waves. Underneath the sky, we'll find our place.
Oh, the moments we keep like a melody, singing soft in the summer breeze. We don't need to hurry, let the river flow. Love will guide us where we need to go. So let's dance in the golden light. With love so strong, we'll be alright. Through the seasons, through the years, every sunset you'll be here. Ooh. When the weight of the world feels too much to hold, and the nights are lonely, dark and cold, take my hand, don't be afraid. I'll be the light that never fades. When the road is rough and dreams feel far, I will be right where you are. Through every tear, through every fight, I'll stand with you and hold you tight. Lean on my love when you're losing your way. I'll be your shelter, I'll help you stay. Through every storm, through skies so blue, no matter what, I'll stand with you. I'll be the strength when you're feeling weak, a gentle voice when you need to breathe. Through every tear, through every fight, I'll love you through the darkest night. When your heart is heavy, when hope feels gone, I'll remind you you're not alone. Side by side we'll make it through. I'll keep believing in you. Lean on my love when you're losing your way. I'll be your shelter, I'll help you stay. Through every storm, through skies so blue, no matter what, I'll stand with you. I'll be the strength when you're feeling weak, a gentle voice when you need to breathe. Through every tear, through every fight, I'll love you through the darkest night. Through the highs and through the lows, I'll be here so you will know. No need to ask, no need to hide. You'll always have me by your side. Through the highs and through the lows, I'll be here so you will know. No need to ask, no need to hide. You'll always have me by your side. sky is dark and the rain falls down, when the world feels heavy and there's no way out, I will be the light shining through the storm. I will keep you safe, I will keep you warm. Every tear that falls I'll wipe away. Every fear I'll make it fade. Hand in hand through highs and lows, no matter.
Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Masarap po ba ang tulog natin kagabi? Or hindi mo sure? Ay, masarap ang kinain kagabi. Sila ma'am. Yan. So, good morning po sa ating lahat. Welcome po sa Day 2 po ng ating Cagayan Heritage, Culture and Arts Summit. So, kahapon po, meron po tayong mga speakers. So, hopefully po na may natutunan at may naalala po kayo sa ating pinag-usapan kahapon. So, ngayon po, magkakaroon po tayo ng recap kung ano po ang mga natutunan nyo kahapon. For sure, kilala nyo naman po at alam nyo po yung mga nagsalita kahapon. Kilala nyo pa rin po ba sila? Sino? Yung gwapo daw, si Sir Ong. Baka yun lang yung naalala, si Ma'am Joanne talaga. Nalagpasan daw ng kagwapuhan si Sir Peewee. Yan. Bali, dito naman po sa likod. May naalala po ba tayo sa mga napag-usapan kahapon? Anong agency po, ma'am? Ay, wala kahapon, yun lang. Sige, ma'am. Bali, ngayon, ma'am. Oh, bukas, ikaw naman tatanungin ko, ma'am. Taga saan tayo, ma'am?
Alcala po. LGU Alcala.
LGU Alcala. Kung saan, dapat kahapon meron ka, ma'am. Yung bridge, yung pinag-usapan. Si Sir Edro Abram. So, meron din siya mamaya, ma'am. Sige. Yan. Dito po sa side, feeling ko may present dito sa side. Tumatayo si Sir. Sir, ano yung naalala mo kahapon sa mga pinag-usapan natin? For sure meron, sir, kasi nagtanong ka eh.
Good morning po sa ating lahat. Naalala ko lang po na topic natin is first yung ethnographic research, and then yung mga speakers natin from Heritage Conservation Society. Yan po.
Yan, thank you, sir. Ano po yung natutunan nyo about dun sa ethnography po natin? Ma'am, sir, baka naman. May plus points daw, sir. May ikaw nga, ito na, mabasa. Oh, sige. Uy, basta na yung sunod eh.
Kung paano niya nakuha yung mga resources niya, lalo yung mga old photos, ganun. Kasi we also wanted to replicate it sa amin, registering our heritage sites doon. So we wanted to know further later on with him about, refer yung kung paano siya nakakuha ng mga resource materials yan.
Yan, so tungkol naman sa ermita ang natutunan ni Ma'am kahapon, which is diniscuss po ni Sir Peewee. Dito naman, ma'am, ano po yung mga natutunan po natin yesterday? Baka na-starstruck naman na kayo kay Architect Ong. Kaya hindi na kayo,
Hindi naman po. So, additional lang, natatandaan ko si Prof. Hokano, sabi na, ethnography is, you need to be where people at. So, it's not just more than a study. It is more an experiencing and be like them and be one of them.
Yes po, sa ethnography po, kailangan po nating makisalamuha dun sa mga tao kung saan or kung gusto natin silang i-research or gusto natin silang pag-aralan, kailangan pong makihalubilo at maging, sabi nga ni Sir doon, hindi maging sila, kundi maging katulad nila. Yan, tama. Dito, Ma'am Zoan, feeling ko perfect si Ma'am Zoan. Perfect ang pa-dress niya yesterday eh.
Okay, sige. Balik ako kay favorite piwi ko. Okay, it's all about colonial era churches, bridges, how to protect them, what we could do to protect these heritage sites. O, yun lang.
Okay po, thank you so much, Ma'am. So, maaari na po tayo.
Good morning. It's my, again, pleasure to introduce to you one of my professors from the University of the Philippines. Dr. Chester B. Cabalsa is the sole Filipino security anthropologist in the country. He has written 3 best-selling books on the rise of Philippinization. Philippinization is not Finlandization in 2021. Philippine territorial defense in 2024, and self-reliant defense posture in 2025. He is the founding president of the Manila-based think tank International Development and Security Cooperation, or IDSC. He advises national leaders, multinational companies, and embassies on defense and security issues. He previously held the position of Vice President for the Center of Research and Strategic Studies, while he concurrently became the Executive Fellow at the Development Academy of the Philippines. He was formerly a consultant of the World Bank and the Japan International and Cooperation Agency. He is conferred as scientist by the Department of Science and Technology under the Presidential Decree 997. He was also a recipient of the CHED Faculty Development Scholarship and the Angara Scholarship Awards in UP Diliman, and CSREP by the Japan Foundation. He taught for 15 years at the Department of Anthropology, the University of the Philippines, Diliman, and professed his research as professor and researcher for 20 years at the National Defense College of the Philippines. A fellow of the College of Defense Studies at National Defense University in Beijing, China, in the U.S. State Department under the stewardship of the University of Delaware and the University of Warsaw in Poland. He is invited to several engagements as a speaker to several Track 2 diplomacy meetings in the Indo-Pacific region. Dr. Chester Cabalsa is a proud Cagayano, being born and raised in Tuguegarao City. He went to the University of the Philippines, Diliman, for his BA and PhD in Anthropology and MA in Asian Studies with units in International Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to introduce to you Dr. Chester B. Cabalsa. Let's give him a round of applause.
Ay, sige. Balo ni kamu ngamin. You know, when I'm so happy that I was invited here. It's like a welcome home lecture for me, no? I was born here until I studied elementary high school, and then left to Gigarao and make some waves in Manila to introduce Cagayan. And I would remember, since we are discussing about cultural heritage, I would remember when VP Binay was the vice president of the country. And then we founded the Ibanag Heritage Foundation. And then one time, there was this budding prominent archaeologist from University of the Philippines. His name is Mandy Mijares. So I asked him to join us in Coconut Palace. Tapos nakigi, siyempre, si Mandy, sabi ko, can you join us? The VP wants to know about your discovery on the human fossil, no? Yung Homo luzinensis, the one that they excavated in Peña Blanca. Yung mga military students ko sa National Defense College, when they saw Mandy excavating there, all they thought that they were excavating Yamashita treasures, no? So yung pala, that would change the history of the Philippines, no? Because now, history, it says when there are written documents. And since Homo luzinensis is written now, it's part of our textbooks and narrative, then it's part of our history. No, so ang nangyari doon, dinala namin siya, and then I think RD Tourism Diwa was also there present, no, during the presentation. And Mandy discussed about the discovery on Homo luzinensis. Dati hindi pa Homo luzinensis eh. So we were trying to figure out what would be the name. Should we call it Cagayan man? Alam mo naman ng mga archaeologists always patriarchal, always man, no? So and then there were questions. Ano yaton? Ibanago, itawit ya, kwayan, Homo luzinensis. So those were some of the issues that that were raised during the discussion. But what I'm trying to drive at here, because of that meeting, no? I'm happy to say that after that conversation, the Homo luzinensis has become part of our tourism narrative. No? There are a lot of exhibits that would show that we are part of the prehistoric or historic sites of the Philippines, given that, of course, many of the archaeological sites that were found here in Cagayan, basically, are very important when it comes to our documentation. And partly, of course, so there were discussions about the ethnography, history, and the task that was given to me by Jake and, of course, by the Cagayan Museum people would be the ethics, no? Is it okay now? Can we flash? Okay. So ethics in doing ethnographic research. That's the topic that was given to me. You know, I've for a decade already, but it may be unethical, or it may be ethical, but there are some discrepancies when it comes to our laws. So the goal now is how do we reconcile it, given that, of course, many of you are cultural practitioners. So let's try to dig deeper into it. How do you practice it? No, how do we engage with that kind of nuances in terms of doing field works, and how do we document it, and most especially, of course, in doing some of the cultural heritage that you are undertaking so far. Okay, so that's basic, no? So what is ethical, no? And sometimes there are only three things that we need to unleash here when we talk about ethics in doing ethnographic research. These are, of course, informed consent, confidentiality, and transparency. Sige. Malakak-lakak na lang ano niya. Sige. So definitely, no. These are some of the things that we wanted to cover. Only the three factors that would help us understand what would be your role when it comes to informed consent, confidentiality, and transparency in doing your documentation, and of course, gathering of data, and once you engage with the community. Of course, Professor Hocano, our chair at the Department of Anthropology, would always say that, of course, rapport is very important. It's skill, no? It's a skill that it's innate in us. And sometimes, of course, when we go to communities, especially we're dealing with indigenous cultural communities, or with the IPs, and many of us belong to that. No, in anthropology, we always confuse ourselves with this debate of ethic and emic. No, yung ethic, it's the outsider's point of view, and the emic is the insider's point of view. And sometimes we have our own judgments and biases coming from those two different perspectives or two different schools of thought. No, syempre, no sitam magafutam or for us, no, coming from the inside. Like, say for example, if I write a book about the Ibanag, I'm an Ibanag, I have my own biases. But certainly there would be nuances and differences because I've been away in the community for more than half of my life. Then I have a different perspective of how I tell this story. No. Same as true, like, say for example, I would remember when we founded that Ibanag Heritage Foundation, So most likely, many of us were Ibanags there. And then because it was, quite political during that period, many of the Ilocanos, they wanted also to become Ibanag to join the group. So you see some of the political nuances of that also, no? Just because they wanted to be part of the community for some political clout, something like that. So we have to dig deeper into it, because definitely when we talk about these three things, these are very important in looking at how ethical the things that we are doing basically. Okay, so of course, there were already discussions about ethnographic research last time. I'm quite sure you discussed about ethnographic research, so I won't deal much on that. So basically, this is like the journal, the journal that we do as anthropologists, or anyone can become anthropologists basically, because of course we study people, in anthropology. And when we study people, it's not only biological but also cultural and social. So there's a lot of aspects when we do that. But definitely, it's like these are like the notes. We are like chroniclers. We are like journalists in doing our own study about the people and the community. So basically, this is what we do in order for us to document the philosophies, behaviors, point of view, the different activities of the people in the community. Okay, let's not deal much on that, because I think these are more important. Now, so how do we do these ethical principles and challenges in ethnography? So there's this standard model versus ethnographic reality. So there's no one-time signed consent form. So especially now you have in the IPRA law, you have the free prior informed consent, the FPIC as we call, in many of my consultancies in the JICA and in the World Bank, these are very important, especially that many of the government agencies in our country are not quite familiar with the IPRA law, or sometimes they kind of overlook it. They tend to impose some projects, do projects there without consulting NCIP. And I'm quite sure there are some instances, like say for example, so I'll try to give more experiential examples, so that we can visualize how I wanted to depict these kinds of ethical principles here. Like we had this, I had this project with JICA on the Subic Clark, Manila to Bicol. That's the longest railway, supposedly, that we'll be having for the country. So the Subic Clark, that's the, it's not the passenger, hindi siya passenger rail. Para siyang, forgot the other term for that, yung mga commodities lang. But the one from, which I think is ongoing right now, the one from Clark to Manila, that's for the passengers. So, nabigyan na namin ng ECC yun. And then, JICA wanted to change the alignment, because in that alignment in Pampanga, may tatamaan na burial site for the Japanese soldiers during the Second World War. Siyempre, the Japanese, they give reverence also to their departed soldiers. So they proposed for realignment, realignment of the railway. So kumurba ngayon. So dun sa pagkurba na yon, tinamaan ngayon yung ancestral domain ng mga Aitas in Pampanga. So that's the big problem that they had there, that they wanted anthropologists to come in. So if you try, there's even a case of NCIP versus BCDA about that. So saan papasok itong standard model versus ethnographic reality natin, which goes also to the second one on dynamic and ongoing in terms of the consent. So I did my field work, talked to the ITAS there. And of course, you see the commotion and the factions there, because even amongst the ICCs there, they have their own titles and so on. So anong nangyari? So we cannot proceed with the realignment because of the FPIC, yung pre-informed, free prior and informed consent. So we did a lot of consultations with them. And by law under the IPRA naman, we can proceed with the ECC as long as there is a filed FPIC, no? Especially for big ticket projects, no? Because that falls under the build of President Duterte, and now you have the Build Better More of BBM. Okay, so the point there is, there are some agencies kasi that they impose some of the road projects or the bridge projects without undergoing FPIC. And that's a big no-no. No? I had a lecture with DPWH about this, stating about the IPRA law, that they have to confront, that they have to comply with the FPIC, which I think is very important when you do informed consent. And that is a very powerful legal tool. And it's also an ethical consideration for many of us cultural practitioners. No? And then there should be voluntary participation. All participants are free to join or leave the study interview at any point without penalty. Like I told you, no, I've been in many public hearings for big ticket projects in mining, in environmental critical projects, and of course in the ECC, in the EIS, environmental EIS study, no, you are required to do public scoping and public hearing, no. So you invite everyone in the affected communities, given their consent, and that's the time that they will voice out also some of their problems or issues about the project. And during that time, of course, no, everyone is free to say whatever they want. No, just like yesterday, I had a meeting in one of the mining projects somewhere else, somewhere in Mindanao, and in the perception survey, the result was 60% of the people don't like the project. So I asked the proponent, can you do another round of a survey within the community? Because how come that this is the result of the study? No? So ang mangyari dyan, partly because they lack the IEC, yung Information Educational Campaign. No, because of course when you do studies or projects, because you have to broadcast it to the community, part of transparency, no, sometimes people are not aware of your projects or what you're doing. So this is part of the transparency initiative, so that all of us know what we're doing. No, otherwise, of course, no, some others are doing secretive activities, which I think is not acceptable to the law. No, so. And respect local cultural norms. No, I would remember back then in college, because during our time when we in college, when we were taking anthropology there, we had one of the longest field works in the world before. One semester we are in the field. Alam niyo naman yung one semester na nasa bahay ni kuya kami, and of course, no, like I say, when we go there, we are an agent of change also. It's not only the communities who are the agents of change, but also us intruders, because we enter the community. Imagine some of my classmates, they go to we go to far-flung barrios and areas, no? And their mentality is so metropolitan that sometimes they wear clothes like spaghetti. Siyempre, gugulat din yung mga tao, no? And then, of course, the community is very conservative. So you have to respect the norms. No, I would remember there are times that I would bring my UP students to Cordillera. We go to Sagada or to Banawe, no, and sometimes they immediately take photos, and the community or the ICC or the IPs there wouldn't allow it. No, don't take photos of us. So you see, they know the rights. No, you don't immediately capture it, especially now we're in the social media era. And I know there are some students in the university where they're trying to depict IPs in social media. And sometimes the depiction is quite marginalized, no, because they know that IPs are poor, are less developed. No, I'm not saying that should not be projection or manifestation of the IPs, because there are different levels of indigenous peoples. Like, say for example, I tell you, and really, and VP Binay are IPs also, but they are powerful IPs, no? Even like who's that? Sino yung recently nanalo na na dun sa male pageant na yung heritage niya is he's an Igorot, no? He's very proud of it, no? And then the depiction of that IP is quite metropolitan and so on. So what I'm trying to drive at here is that you have to respect local cultures, no? Tama si Prof. Ocado doon, be like them, no? Immersion, no? Rapport are very important. These are skills when doing field work, and I think there's a little bit of transformation, because the problem when doing ethnographic research, we try to exoticize people. No, I think in many of the ethnographic books, no, that we have read in the universities, minsan may pagka-exotic yung depiction. They try to romanticize it. But when you go there as researchers, no, you depict it as it is, no, without judgments. Okay. So you see this one. Although there are still flaws in the IPRA law, particularly on how you define the indigenous peoples, because of course, especially for us, though, when we say indigenous, it's synonymous with native. So all of us are natives to the land, right? But of course, under the United Nations, it says that there should be minority groups. No, it's quite political also, who are part of the major groups and the minor groups. No, like of course, Ilocanos are part of the major groups. Ibanags, of course, because of the number of speakers, are part of the minor groups. No, something like that. So it's quite political. It's part of human construction in terms of how you categorize people. So partly there is intervention from us on how we would depict groups and who would be part of the indigenous cultural communities or indigenous peoples. So others don't want to be part or to be known as IPs. Others would want to be known as such. No, so it's like a Shakespearean mask or hat that every day you wear different identities. No, sometimes you're an IP. In some other circumstances, you don't want to be identified as IP. No, so but it's a process also of how you identify yourself as an IP. No, so it's up to you on how you identify yourself. No, on that. And of course, there are also social interventions with that, because of course it's the society that judges who would be part of the majority or minority. No, you see that kind of nuances there. All right. Sabi niya, informed consent. Of course, still in the IPRA law. So this is how you do it. There's a process actually in doing the FPIC. Sometimes it takes longer. It's na months or years, depending on the project, especially for mining projects. No, it takes time for them. But as long as you file something, that's very important. No, of course, the sole agency that was given the right or authority when it comes to FPIC would be the NCIP. So you have to observe that. No? So once you do that, I would remember back in college, kasi bago pa lang itong IPRA law noon. So we had a linguistics course where we were required to do field work. No, we were trying to study the language of the Yogad in Isabela. No, so pinatawag yung buong barangay. Tapos sabi, so we were eager to participate. So instead of appreciation, we were castigated. Anong ginagawa niyo dito? Alam niyo ba ganyan yan? Because at the time we do not know yet the IRR of the IPRA law. No? Different interpretations, different implementation, and of course, no, instead of appreciation, we were castigated during that circumstance. But nevertheless, of course, we were able to patch it up because, of course, I presented myself as Ibanag, and they understood what we were doing, And of course, everything went smoothly after that. No? So the point there is, of course, no, you have to recognize this kind of processes. But there are forms. No? Kaya nga sinabi nila, in doing informed consent, it's not a one-time way of doing it. There's a process. It's a dialogue. No? You do a lot of conversations with the community. No? Kasi hindi mo makukuha yung consent in one sitting. No? It's like an epic process. You have to do it many times. Para kang negotiator din. No? When you do alternative dispute resolution, because of course you're talking about their lands. These are ancestral lands that they inherited from their ancestors, and then you will develop it, and then what would happen to them? No? What would be the concessions that they will get out from that project? No? So it's a long process of doing it. No? Sometimes it takes years of accomplishing the finality of the FPIC. Okay. Okay, ito, confidentiality. Sabi niya, entails the protection, personal information of individuals under the, now, especially now you have the data privacy law. No? Nung nag-start ba tayo, sinabi nyo na okay lang ba, nakukuha na namin kayo ng picture? Nagsabi naman kayo siguro ng first day. So okay yun. No? Same as true with this one. Because remember, during the American period, there's this one powerful administrator. His name is Dean Worcester. No? Yung Worcester, ganyan yung spelling ng ano niya. And he did a lot of photography. No? And he was saying that this is part of census. And then it was exhibited in St. Louis, and we were depicted as monkeys and so on, no, without our consent. You know, the Americans, and of course, this powerful figure that the Americans are here to civilize us, no, and so on. But now you cannot do it. No? In many of the ICCs, they don't want to get photographed. No? And they know the rights because of what happened during the colonial period in our history. And I think especially now that you have the data privacy law of 2012, which I think everything that you do, you have to ask permission. And there must be consent because of the many things that had happened in the past. No? You need to privatize, put into private, no? Some of the data that we gather. That's the reason why, of course, when you do that, you have to verify it, and you need to do a lot of triangulation because, of course, you are practitioners, and your outputs must be scientific. No, there should be triangulation in many of the things, even just getting information. No, you have to verify it. That's the reason why when I asked Jake and his classmates in the university, when I asked them to do ethnography, there should always be triangulation. Kasi ngayon nandadaya na rin, no? No, they go there, they take what's your evidence, they have to show some photos, and then of course they have to look at secondary material or data for them to at least verify that what they were able to get from the field are reliable from what were written in the materials, and then of course ask some other people if the information are verified, whether it's true or false. No, so that's how you do it basically, no? Even just getting information or gathering data. Okay. Ethics in, what's this? Okay. Sometimes these are very important because when we talk about confidentiality and anonymity, no? There are instances where in many research, cultural research, no, where they don't want to be named. No, I would remember, of course, no, I did my first field work as a sophomore student at the university, doing field work with the Aita community in Bataan. So, syempre, part of rapport, kailangan mo makipag-inuman, lakad-lakad sa bundok. I stayed there for a whole summer. And then, of course, I interviewed the oldest, because of course the Aitas there don't have historiography just like what we have in our universities, where of course during the prehistory, Spanish period, American period, Japanese period, and the contemporary period. No, for them they have different narratives. No, nung panahon ng namin na may na may tora-tora, ganyan, because of course in Bataan, no? They saw dog fights, no? Of warplanes from Japan and America, and they were the healers of Filipino and Japanese, American soldiers, no? Because they lived in caves during the war. So pag may mga wounded soldiers, sila yung kumukuha. And they were also used as spies, no? For espionage, no? So you see that, no? But of course now, before, no? Kasi wala pang data privacy, kaya pang isulat yung But with the consent now, is it okay if we can put your name in the article or in the research or in the document and so on, no? Sometimes they put X. But sometimes it's because in ethnography, it's very contextual, di ba? It's like reading a novel or writing a novel. Minsan, kahit X yung nilagay mo doon, like the oldest person in the community, ma-identify mo pa rin kung sino siya. No? Because of the context of the story that you're writing. So how do you reconcile that with anonymity and so on? So those are some of the debates still of the debates when we come up with this anonymization. And of course, security of data storage. Saan nyo ba tatago yung data nyo? Siyempre, especially now, there's a cloud, no? And the cloud security is, I think, one of the issues and problems also. They can hack it, or anyone can see it up there, and so on. No? So these are some of the things that we have to look at also for future studies when we do cultural heritage or conservation studies, basically. Because of course, the recordings, especially now with AI, no, kaya na nilang baguhin. They can copy now the voice and change some of the recordings and so on. No? So these, I think, would be the challenges of future conservationists, no, on how we study culture, basically. Accuracy of portrayal. Strive to represent participants' perspectives. And ito na nga yung sinasabi ko, how do you portray the IPs, especially in social media? No? Because sometimes we try to exoticize, romanticize, no, the IPs that nakabahag pa rin sila, nakaano pa rin sila. But the IPs now are highly educated. They look like we are IPs. I'm a proud IP also, but I'm wearing batik. No? so how would you depict that? No? So I mean, it's I don't know, coincidental sometimes that the depiction is sometimes misleading, no? And that's how that's the role that you are. That's given to you on how would you depict now the ICCs and the IPs. Okay. Ala, nasaan na yung Where did I... okay, sorry. Okay, transparency. I think these are very important, like the naming of places, naming of people, and studying data. No, I think these are very important because, of course, no, kaya especially like in many of the World Bank and JICA studies that I do, kaya there's an initial study, no, parang proposal, where you put some the limitations also of your study, and same as true in any research, no, that's the practice that we do, and then of course the study itself, and then of course one thing that I like about of course, no, that we should do in transparency while doing initial coordination and then the actual fieldwork study, and then you write it. The most important is once you finish or finalize with the study, you go back to the community. No, we've done that in many projects that I've done. The project that I did with JICA on the longest tunnel in the Philippines from Nueva Ecija to Nueva Vizcaya. When we did that study, we really went back to the IPs, to the ICCs. And can you check the results of our study if it's acceptable to you and what we have written are true? So I think that is your obligation to go back and return to the community and tell that everything that you have written are truthful. Okay? That's part of the transparency. Okay, so methodological, so there are different kinds of transparency, be it in methods, positionality of the study, analytical transparency, consent-based transparency, because of course, it depends on how we frame the research. Some of us are very analytical, maybe depending on our political leanings, we tend to put some, when we do research, it should be value judgment, free from judgments, and sometimes we have some biases, which I think is normal to all of us. We have our own biases, whether be it political, social, economic, and philosophical. And sometimes when we write our stories or our ethnographic documents, it shows up. Lumulutang yung biases natin. And I think these are some of the things that we have to look at, especially when you do methodological transparency. Like, why did you choose that site? Anong meron dyan sa site na yan? Kasi na-intriga ka lang. Or kasi ganyan-ganyan. Access and rapport. How do you deal with power dynamics in my younger years, I was so quite immature also. We went to do a study somewhere else in Cordillera. And then doon sa bahay na parang receiving guest house na tinirhan namin, we were so immature. So we did background about the barangay captain and so on. With it was election campaign season at that time. Ang iingay namin, lasing na kami. Kung anong pinagsasabi namin doon sa kapitan. And siyempre, in the community, madaling marinig. Aba, narinig ng mga tao. They are very sensitive. Aba, pinalayas kami. So, it's really an obligation also that, the values that you exude, when you do field work, you have to be very sensitive also. Because not all people have the same liberal ideas that you have. Other conservative communities and societies are very, sensitive towards that. So, okay, ito. How do you share data, collection, analysis, and honesty of the process? There are times that, of course, along the way when you do ethnography or you do your documentation, you have also some doubts. Bakit ganun yung nangyari? Bakit ganun sila? Or bakit But your role is to document it objectively. Because ethnography is a science. It's an art and science. So, and then of course yung analytical transparency, yung decision trail, findings, interpretation. Minsan visit na Bisaya. I would remember I sat as a panelist in many theses in UP, and many of these students, they would question the process of this government agency or this organization, and you see it's written in their thesis, how the heated discussion went on, or how they were not able to get the FPIC, and how they ended up with their study and so on. So you see a lot of that, in many of of these studies. And of course, in consent-based transparency, purpose of the research, it should be told to the community, ongoing communication, especially when you are dealing with the FPIC, and confidentiality, and report back to the community. I think that's very important when you return. It's also one way of giving thanks to the hospitality of the community. Okay, now, how do we apply it? Because of course, we are engaged. We are applied researchers. So, secure institutional approval. So, I've told you already the process. You have to ask consent, and then do some risk assessment study, and then of course there will be vulnerabilities along the way, and of course you have to secure your data. That's the most powerful. You have to secure it. How you record it, where do you store it, especially for archiving methods. and so on. And then I think I mentioned already about this one, the emic and ethic perspective, no? How would we see the biases also when it comes to that? And in doing field work, of course, no? I already mentioned you some of the things here. And still, the most important would be the mutual respect that we show to the people or the communities that we study. No? We have to behave properly and remain professional because, of course, what we do are professional things. Okay? Okay. So, ito na nga, yung kasi this will be the future studies, how we do it in the digital space. No? Public versus private space, and public perception and platform content. So data protection, legality of collaboration. Have you, alam naman ninyo what happened with, there was this, with Nash Academy, no? They wanted to, which I think was a good intention at first, but pero nung nag-explode na siya, and I think many of the anthropologists gave their opinion about it, that the knowledge of Wangud is a communal knowledge, and it's not only a personal knowledge. So you have to respect the ICCs, no, the community itself. So yun yung sinabi doon, no, dun sa ano. And I think that is and it's a clear indication that when we proceed to the community, everything that we learn and know about the community is not by a singular actor. No, it's a communal endeavor, because these are close-knit communities. No, they're not like in urban places where, like in condominiums, you don't know your neighbors. No, so remember that when you go out there, the people know each other, and you have to respect the communal knowledge. Okay, exploitation of IPs using visuals. So I've already mentioned that. No, we have a lot of explanation about that already. Okay. Ito na nga, yung sensitivity, no? Yung risk of traceability, because it can be traced, no? Especially when you ask for the FPIC, no? So natitrace yan kung saan umiikot, and also how you engage with the community, because you're not only the agents there, no? I would remember when I was not yet a professor at the National Defense College, I just realized that when I went to many of the field works that I did, there are also military and the police. They also have their intelligence gathering. No? So it's not only us who are there, no, as cultural researchers, but there are other agents present in the community. No? So you have to be aware of that. No? It's not only the government agencies or the military, and there are some other actors like, I know you know who I refer to or what I refer to, no, yung mga left groups and so on, no. So ganun. And then data sanitization. So in a meta narratives now, no, paraphrasing direct quotes can make respondents unrecognizable, especially IPs that want anonymity. O ito na nga yung sagot dun sa yung tanong ko kanina na in many of the ethnographic studies that we do, no, where even if there is an anonymous name with that person, how you paraphrase what they say, no, is also important. Okay. Renewed consent. Okay. The one that you ask for FPIC when you do your study would be different from the consent when you publish your articles or your books or your research papers. So you need another consent for that. Kasi okay lang ba na i-publish namin? Because once you publish it, especially online, the world in the metaverse will read it. No? Or when you publish a book, no? Or in scientific journals, definitely it can be accessed, no, by anyone else there. So, and then the community consent. So, I think we had a lot of discussion earlier with that. Ano pang meron sa akin? Siguro, I think this would be my last one. So, document everything with thick description. So, maingat. Kumbaga, maingat dapat tayo sa pagdo-document natin because we are talking about the lives of the people. No? And it's not easy when you expose the lives and activities of the people. No? At the end of the day, they are still people. Okay? Embrace the unexpected. And along the way, when you do field works, when you do documentation process, there will be unexpected things. No? Like, say, for example, there would be some political dilemma or social problem and so on along the way. And lastly, you have to always triangulate your data. No, it's not just when you get information from the field, that's it. No, you have to verify it and do a lot of triangulation in your study. Okay, so that's it. Mabalo. Maraming salamat po.
And thank you so much, sir. Before po pala tayo magtatapos, sir, may Q&A po.
Yeah.
So baka may mga katanungan po kayo about sa... Ayan na. Una pa lang, agad na very perfect.
Very
so
good.
sila, sir. So we will accept up to 4 questions po. So isipin po nating mabuti ang ating mga itatanong.
Challenge my ideas, please.
Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Doing ethnography is indeed very difficult and very challenging, especially when you do it with cultural communities. People are, of course, very much unwilling to provide or to disclose the necessary information, especially when they know that the person eliciting the information is actually a researcher. In this context, sir, is it ethically correct to use or employ the retrospective consent instead of the FPIC?
Interesting. Depending on the level of the research study, say for example, there are no clear parameters yet when it comes to the use of FPIC or just the permission, no? Because what is allowed by law is the FPIC now, no? Which they're trying to normalize it. So in many of the, even students in the university, researchers basically, they would use FPIC. And sometimes the dilemma there, even the researchers, na yung mga professors na ang tagal-tagal, hindi na nila, kasi of course there are timelines. It depends also with the kind of research, if it's commissioned or if it's a big ticket project or if the funding comes from the government and so on. No? So I would remember in my private role as an anthropologist, I did social development plan in Palawan. It's a mining project. So naayos naman na yung FPIC. Ito yung kwento. Because the host community, maraming affected communities, di ba? Na mga IPs. The host community, syempre nasa kanila yung planta, no? Syempre mayabang because they benefit kasi they get subsidies also from the mining company because it's required by law. So and it's required also by law that after 5 years you have to do SDMP, no? Kasi para malaman natin kung ano yung mga pangangailangan pa ng mga IPs at ng mga tao doon. So when we almost did the rounds in different barangays, tapos nung host community na last na, maangas. Sabi, ayaw nga namin. Ganyan. Dami nilang reklamo. So sabi ko, okay, kung ayaw nyo, yun ang i-report ko. Tapos pag yun ang ni-report ko, mawawala ng scholarship yung mga anak nyo kasi i-report ko ayaw nyo, required dito sa batas, ipapasara nila yung mining company. Nagbago yung attitude nila. And then that's the time they were able to tell I was able to get, you need some creativity also, no, when you do that. But of course, you have to be careful also because at the end of the day, just like what I've told you, there should be truthfulness. Your goal there is to get information because it is required for your study. No? So, you tell them the consequences if they don't give the information. No? That's the reason why it's a case-to-case basis also. No? But of course, for FPIC talaga, it's a long process. No? It's not a one-time, big-time, one-sitting dialogue. You need patience, perseverance in doing that. Because, of course, no, in many of my field works, especially in Mindanao, you know, the IPs there are very tough. No? Hindi lang yung one-sitting yan. No? They would even threaten your life. No? Because, of course, you see the emotions. You're dealing with people. And as cultural researchers, that's our power on how to deal with people. No? Dapat sanay talaga tayo doon. No? And definitely, our end goal there is to get information properly. No? That's the reason why, as cultural practitioners, we need to be very skillful on dealing with the communities and with the people, because that's our expertise, basically. No? Because we study them. Sige.
Good morning, Professor.
Yes, sir.
My concern is all about ownership of documentation.
Very good.
Usually, when you conduct anthropological researches and you document either epics, narratives, songs, festivals, it's usually the researcher who would actually take ownership of the documentation.
Yeah.
But insofar as knowledge is concerned, you were able to draw it out from the indigenous community.
Agree.
And the ethical consideration now is, on the part of the researcher, sometimes you are more acknowledged to be an expert of a certain research which you conducted, na you present it in research forum, sometimes you get awarded because of your
Agree.
output on that.
Very good.
And the ethical consideration I would like to ask is, in terms of ownership of documentation, who really owns it? And then second po, para hindi na ako babalik.
Sige, go ahead.
We have started conducting a research on kantorit. Ngayon, ang main issue namin is any kind of studies of this kind would need permission coming from the NCIP. I am in Ibanag. Would I still get permission from NCIP in which ako mismo ay Ibanag? This question is also very relevant to those who are doing cultural mapping.
Agree.
Because when they do cultural mapping, they are part of the indigenous group. Okay? Would they still conform with the requirement that they still need to get FPIC, considering that they belong to the same group?
Very good question.
So thank you so much. Yun lang po.
It's the same dilemma that I've experienced in many of my studies also, of course, the ownership. I think this is the reason why you have the law now, the IPRA law, because basically that's what they saw before, no? That's the reason why the IPs, ICCs were exploited in the past, because many of the researchers or book authors, they tried to go beyond the limits, and there are laws now to protect them, to protect us. And I think that the law is evolving, no? With different interpretations along the way. Remember that this was written in 1997. The context of the law in 1997 would be different from the context of present 2025 and 2026, because you have now digital ethnography and so on, no? And who owns it, basically. So I think it's still evolving, and I think we are still trying to answer that, of who would be the owners. But my answer to that, as a practitioner myself, would be to acknowledge also, no? Because of course, you go back to the community and present it to them, and usually what I do is that I place my name there as a researcher, but I'm not the sole owner of it. The owner of that intellectual property goes back to the community, because I was just there to document it. But the story comes from them. You have to delineate also your responsibility and your role there. That you are just there as a documenter, no? You don't own it. The community owns it. That's the reason why you see also the case of Wangwood and the National Academy when they saw a pushback after that. Because how come you tend to commercialize it when in fact the one that who should benefit from that study or who should benefit would be the community itself. No, that's the reason why it's hard to. I think that was the lesson that they learned because they became a commodity. No, nung ginawa silang commodity na commercialize, ang kumita yung researcher. No? Tapos yung community, teka, ano sa amin? 'Di ba? So I think that's the reason why the law was created, the law was crafted and made for us to recognize their rights. No? Because for centuries, we have forgotten them. We only tell their story and the recognition goes to us. And I think it should be a mutual recognition. No? I think that's the lesson that we have to imbibe and understand there. Now, the second question is, if you're part of the IP group, should you still undergo FPIC process? I think there are provisions in the NCIP, no? Because it's written in the law that you have to undergo it. But I think there is preferential treatment given to members of the community themselves. That you just, maybe this is part of the consent. Yes, I'm doing this. Can you please give your blessing to me? But you don't have to undergo everything in the process. No, I think there is a preferential treatment given to members of the IPs themselves. No, because you can best tell the story if you're from the inside. No, although there are still nuances and biases, di ba? Yeah, that we sometimes ignore that outsiders can also see it. No, so that would be my answer, sir. Okay.
Sir, from our Zoom participants
Okay.
naman, sir. In a situation where the community members insist that their real name should be used, but you as the ethnographer knows the risk it entails, how do you reconcile this? Pangalawa, sir. Not in a way of promoting na mag-deviate sa law, may walk around ba to do research with FPIC? Kasi di ba compliance with NCIP means additional expense?
Okay. Kung nag-insist talaga yung respondent mo, wala kang choice kasi of course, no, mutual respect. He wants that his name will be kasi usually as, di ba, as researchers, ethnographers, we ask the question, okay ba sir, okay ba ma'am na yung pangalan nyo nandito sa study? Di ba tinatanong naman natin yan? And they would say, okay lang, di ba? If they feel and they wanted to be part of this study, then so be it. No, you have to respect that. But if they insist at first that, no, please don't cite me, then of course you have to do a lot of adjustments. Yung second question, ma'am, di ko masyado nakuha Yung kung
Not in a way of promoting na mag-deviate sa law, may walk around but to do research with FPIC? Kasi di ba compliance with NCIP
Okay.
means additional expense?
Yeah, I do understand about that, but sometimes, no, when you do the FPIC, it entails some money and expenses, but at the same time, once you are part of the community, you have to tell to them that, of course, no, you have this kind of limitations, and usually it depends also on how the NCIP will give that consent, because of course for students, they would try to exempt you with some financial burdens, no, but at the end of the day, of course, no, there will be some exemptions, and depending on the kind of the project that you have, especially for commissioned researches, no, I think they impose a lot of financial burden to the researchers, but if you are a student and they know your limitations, I think they will give some exemptions to you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sige.
Okay.
Hello.
Wala naman na po.
Si Mamata. Ayaw, marami pa.
Si Mami. Wait lang, sir. Ma'am, sir, is it okay si Ma'am Mia po muna?
Yes, go ahead, Mamia.
I'm Mia Ventura, part of the conversation on heritage culture of Cagayan. My concern or my observation is on how you answer the question, what is my ethnicity? Okay. This is my observation from the population census of 2024. I was the respondent, and the question was, hello, Edru. The question was, what is your, that is a question of the enumerator to the respondent. which was
There are
ako.
different identities there. Okay.
What is your ethnicity? And then, of course, there's a list of
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
ethnic groups. And I said, what is my ethnicity indeed? Now that my consciousness of my ethnicity is heightened by joining the conversation, I suddenly realized that that is a very big question in a population census questionnaire, which of course I raised with my colleagues with the census, because it's such a very difficult question for an individual respondent to answer.
Yeah. I do agree with you, ma'am, with that kind of sentiment, because even me, living in Manila for so long, no, I get to be identified or categorized as Ilocano. But when I say, no, I'm Ibanag, then they would ask a lot of questions. So I'd rather keep quiet and say, okay, I'm Ilocano. So you see that kind of dilemma. But whenever, you have that on process. That's the reason why I told you earlier, no? When you identify yourself as an IP, it's like a Shakespearean way. So it's only you who could tell what kind of ethnicity that you belong to, no?
Yeah. Considering that I was asked as a data specialist, so I was asked how many persons are speaking in Ibanag.
Yeah.
How many persons are Ibanag speaking? How many persons are Itawis speaking? And I cautioned them that the census question does not give you that.
I do agree.
It does not tell you how many persons are speaking in Ibanag, because what the question of the population census is ethnicity, not what dialect
Or
you
language.
speak, or language you speak. So that is the caution that I see in the data gathering on ethnicity and dialects.
Yeah. I think that's also the problem here, because of course now in the Philippines we are judged based from our ethno-linguistic groups. No? We're not based from our racial or ethnicity, no. But of course the ethno-linguistic groups that shows that what kind of languages do you speak. And I think that's very important for us to identify ourselves based from the languages that we speak. No, especially here in Tuguegarao, that we are multilingual. No, we Ibanagtam, Gitawit, Ilocano. So we speak a lot of languages. And sometimes when they do the census, becomes a dilemma because it's black and white. No, because it's data. But how you interpret the data is another thing. No. So I think that's the dilemma for us, many of the cultural practitioners, no, on how, especially for the census, no. I told you some of the visuals earlier that I've shown you. They use photographs before for census, but now they use data based from the languages that you know, or how do you identify yourself, no. So I think it's still a process that we have to achieve so far in terms of how do we really document the people, because of course shifting identities or ethnicities is quite difficult for us, especially if in different locations. Like for myself, I'm an Ibanag. I'm a very proud Ibanag, but when I go to Manila, I'm identified to another one as Ilocano or so on, no? Sometimes you have that kind of dilemma so far, no. But of course, in the census, sometimes in the census there's no Ibanag there, no. When they go house to house in Manila, there's no Ibanag there, no. So that's why it's also a dilemma, a challenge for us, especially in the minority. When I say minority, it's not because of the minority of our political representation, but because of the languages that we speak of.
Thank you.
Sige.
Okay. Then si Ma'am Carla po.
Hello, good morning sa lahat. Hindi po ito tanong, kundi mas reaction po dun sa mga natanong kanina. Kasi base din sa aming karanasan bilang cultural worker, sadly, walang NCIP yata na representative dito, pero prohibitive na po kasi yung, kumbaga, yung proseso nila for FPIC. Kasi halimbawa, tama po yung tanong ni Sir kanina, ibanag na nga siya, dadaan pa ba siya sa FPIC? Or yung sa kaso namin, may nakasabay kami sa Bontoc dati. Taga-Bontoc na siya, of Bontoc descent, nire-require pa rin siya mag-FPIC na napaka-prohibitive, napakamahal ng sinisingil sa kanya. Parang, di po ba? Ganon din yung ginawa for mga colleagues namin from, ayoko nang sabihin, pero ganon din, mga estudyante yung kasama nila, sinisingil sila ng 50,000 pesos na walang resibo. So, yun nga sana may NCIP man lang dito to answer. 100,000 pala. So, ang ibig ko lang po sabihin, sir, sabi niyo po kanina, parang
Preferential treatment.
parang may exemption sana for researchers na estudyante, ganyan.
Yeah.
Pero on the ground, wala pong nangyayaring ganon. So, hopefully, sayang kasi nag-invite din ang Cagayan Museum ng mga representante sana ng NCIP. Sila ang best na makakapagsagot sana sa mga ganyan,
Right. Agree.
parang injustices. Kumbaga. So,
I
ayun.
agree. I do share the same sentiment because I would remember during the time, yung kinikwento ko nga when I was still a student in the university, when we did this field work in Isabela to study the Yogad language, pati kami sinisingil din noon, and then we were like telling, we're students of the university, so I think we don't have that funds, and I think what I'm trying to drive at here, there are still discrepancies in many of our government agencies, especially for NCIP, which I think even the law themselves, they have different interpretations when it comes to IPRA, and even in the heritage law that we have, so I think this is also a call for some reforms in the government agencies that they have to really do their part, especially that this entails money and budget. Sometimes it's the power goes also to us on how to tell them that these things are unacceptable, and we have to check again the IRR, yung implementing rules and regulations, if it is really allowed. Or kaya nga yung question ko kanina, when we talk about ethics in doing ethnographic research, what is lawful and ethical? Sometimes what they do is lawful because under the law they are authorized to do that, but is it ethical? That's the question that we have asked earlier from the start of the discussion. Sometimes not all lawful means are ethical. Vis-a-vis, not all ethical are lawful. So you have to distinguish that. And that judgment comes to us. And we have to tell it, protest it, if it's not ethical and lawful. Okay? Sige. Si Sir Ata, may question din.
Makastang umatan ikaw,
Mabalo,
Professor.
Sir, mabalo.
I was just reflecting on something, Professor. And I am very much interested to know your view about our claim on the Homo luzonensis. Because the issue here is seemingly there's going to be an effort voiding historical claim about those earlier published, voiding earlier published historical claim about human origin. Especially those publications which earned imprimatur, those that were already, for example, published by Harvard University, Stanford, Oxford. Kasi may economic implication ito, no? Pagka na-publish ang ganito, siyempre, bentahan yan, di natin maiwasan yun. So yung concern ko dito, Professor, yung drawback to the legality and ethics involved in it. Kasi I'd like to know much about your view on the legality and the ethics involved in this possible effort to void, the earlier published historical claim. Kasi dito parang it's a battle of phenomenal reality and scientific reality. Kasi nga, okay lang dun sa claim ni Galileo at saka ni Copernicus kasi medieval and Renaissance lang din naman yun, no? Talagang merong scientific basis naman yun. Pero ito, ethnographic, it's sometimes...
And archaeological.
Yeah. And that's it, no? So my question now here, Professor, is what rigorous scientific, legal, and ethical processes that can ensure a more authentic and legitimate newer claim, deserving of newer recognition, and deserving of newer imprimatur?
Yes,
That's my
yes.
question, Professor. Thank you.
Okay, very good question. That's an excellent question. No, you have to remember also when you study the works of scientists and researchers like us. No, you have to also look at the credibility of their outputs of their study. Like, say for example, when Mandy published that Homo luzonensis, it was published in the Nature. That's the highest scientific journal in the world. So meaning to say, not all of us can publish there. Once you get accepted in that publication, that means that it's legit. It's acceptable by all scientists around the world. So that's one indication. And second, of course, about peopling of the Philippines, we have different theories. No, it started with Bayer telling that, of course, you have the Negrito, the Indones, and the Malaysian, which were debunked by UP professors. No, you had the son of F. Landa Hocano yesterday. No, si Felipe Hocano, and those and even Hocano has his own theory of push and pull theory. No, that people in the Philippines, because even up to now we have not yet resolved that kind of debate. We are still finding scientific, archaeological, ethnographic, cultural data on the peoples of the Philippines. How did we start as a nation state, basically? Because of course these are theories; they're not even laws. Theories can be concocted by any one of us. No, the strongest theory right now is the Austronesian, the out of Taiwan theory. No, kaya nga that's the credible theory that are perceived right now by many researchers and scientists. But that doesn't mean that that's the law already. It can still be debunked, because even the evolution of humans, no, the Darwinian theory, no, it's a theory, but that's the theory that no one can debunk yet as of the moment, unless there's a genius person here who would try to do a study and debunk all of those theories later on. No, so what I'm trying to drive at here is that science is a continuing saga. No, arts and science is a continuing saga. That's the reason why we are here, because we are called for more discoveries, more research. That's the reason why we have to do research, because we wanted to know how we originate, how did we start? How did we start our narratives? No, because I told you last time, no, when we had that opportunity, when I invited Mandy Mijares to VP Binay at that time, and that's the time that they discovered that, oh, there's really a human fossil in Cagayan. And then the debate there was, is he an Itawit or Ibanag? So, that was the debate. Ikaw, di pa nga Homo erectus yun, di pa nga nagsasalita eh. Di ba nagko-communicate? So that was the debate at that time. So what I'm trying to drive at here, that's our purpose as scientists, researchers, ethnographers, to discover more. And of course, hopefully one of us will be able to publish in the Nature again, and perhaps debunk all these theories and come up with new studies. Because kaya nga last night we were having dinner and discussing. I think one more area that we have not yet exploited would be the Liwan Valley. No, because there were a lot of archaeological discoveries there, and it's an ongoing process, no. So you know, pati nga si Donald Johansson, no, when she discovered Lucy, no, di ba anong ginagawa niya? Ganyan lang siya, di ba? Then I feel something is in here. Ganun, that's archaeology. It's an intuition, no. It's science, but you have also the intuition there, and that's the time you do your study objectively and scientifically. Okay? Yes, sir.
Please forgive me, I came in late. if this topic was taken up, and just ignore the question or the remark. I am provoked by the statement of the gentleman here in the response to ask the question, how do we classify the peoples of the Philippines in the first place? There are 100 and I think lately 117 million of us in more than 7,000 islands, of which, according to Ethnologue, there are 187 ethno-linguistic groups, which means 187 languages are spoken all over our islands. Of that number, 100 ethno-linguistic groups speak what we now identify as indigenous languages. But even the term indigenous is problematic. The word indigenous, when it used to classifying peoples and languages, was started in North America. The indigenous peoples of North America are the Native Americans or the American Indians. The Europeans are the non-indigenous. But in the Philippines, we call our minorities indigenous, but they are Austronesians like us. So that's not a very fair classification, right? And yet, in terms of numbers, there are probably, if you include our Muslim brethren, there are probably 15 million Filipinos who are classified in general, for lack of a better term, indigenous. Keep this in mind. The 15 million is more than the population of most of the countries in ASEAN. Certainly more than Singapore or Brunei Darussalam. And more indigenous lang ito, and more than half of the countries in the United Nations. They're not a small number of people. Yeah. It's a vast number of people. Okay, so now, to use the term indigenous, would be is problematic. Yeah. In Mindanao, they like to use the term lumad. Yeah. You know, Joey Ayala. Yeah. Lumad. And yet, when we generally classify peoples in the Philippines, the most convenient classifications seem to be either historical or religious. Lowland Christian, Muslim, and animist. Right? Which is very inaccurate, of course. But what we mean by lowland Christian is those who had been colonized. Okay? And the Muslims, of course, have their own religious identity and ethnic identity. And the rest are animists. And yet we insist on calling them indigenous, whereas strictly speaking, we are all Austronesians. What I'm suggesting is we have to have a clearer classification. If we don't want to use the word lumad, maybe we can use an Ibanag word, negagangay. Negagangay, one classification, Muslim because they are more or less homogeneous, more or less, and the rest. Yeah. So when you ask the question, who are the people or what are the people of the Philippines, you don't find a common answer. I don't think there's a common understanding. You just have the majority, who are the major languages. Ilocano, Pangasinense, Pampango, Bicol, Tagalog, Samareño, Cebuano, Ilonggo. And lately they've been including the Maranaos because there are more than 1,500,000 Maranaos. 1,000 of them are here in Tuguegarao. So perhaps you can recommend, or somebody here can recommend, a more accurate classification of the peoples of the Philippines so that we understand, where we stand. Ibanags and Itawit and Malawegs here and Batans, here in Cagayan, are part of the colonized, Christianized majority. Although, as a linguistic group, we are all minorities. Yeah. So I would like to solicit some thoughts on how we can classify this so that we have a better understanding of how we should name ourselves in terms of the context of the complexity of Philippine population.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. As for Edro, I do share the same sentiment with you that sometimes the problem here, when we try to problematize the peopling of the Philippines, it's not only us, but you have also human agencies there. Even amongst the NCIP, NCCA, even in the universities, they kind of have contrary studies, no? They depending on the disciplines and the frameworks that they use and the methodologies they use. There's a reason why you have various results of this study. And sometimes even us, no? Because of course, no, we are gifted actually as one of the multilingual nations in the world, no? Because of course we are a plural society. That means that we are blessed with many ethno-linguistic groups. But how do we identify them? And sometimes identification is quite problematic also because there's fluidity in it. No? Because especially for like us, no, in Cagayan Valley, we are multilingual. No? We don't only speak the Ibanag, but we can speak Itawit and Ilocano and so on. So how do you identify yourself? No, it's like a mix, no? So I think that is something that we have to identify. Maybe the first question there, what would be your first language that you speak since your childhood? That's more important. But of course, no, for like Ibanags who are who are abroad, that would be another thing. No, like my kids, they are Ibanag, but they don't speak well Ibanag, no, because they are already in Manila, or say for example those who are in abroad, no. So like the kids of OFWs or the kids of diplomats who are very proud of their heritage, but sometimes they speak different languages since birth. So those are some of the dilemma there. Unless we have to categorize really the census. I agree with you, ma'am. It should not be imposed, but it should be asked. How do you classify yourselves, or how do you want to be identified? So the identification should really come from them in terms of their ethnicity. Because ultimately, it's only us who could tell who we are. No, despite all the languages, because many of us are gifted with many languages. I for myself can speak more than 5 languages. No, and very few people have that gift. Because when you have that gift, you're like a god because you know many languages, and language is the finest invention of human civilization.
A round of applause, please. Yan. Thank you so much, sir. As much na gusto pa po sana nating ituloy itong conversation na to, pero yung time po ay hindi na po kaya. So maybe next time po ulit. Maybe next year ulit. Yan. So thank you so much, sir. So may I invite you, sir, sa gitna po to receive, yes, sir, pwede lang po, our simple token of appreciation and certificate po. So allow me to read the content, sir. The provincial government of Cagayan, through the Cagayan Museum and Historical Research Center, in grateful recognition of his generous sharing of time, talent, and treasure as a resource person that contributed to the success of the annual Provincial Cagayan Heritage, Culture, and Arts Summit, has the highest joy and honor to present and award this certificate of recognition to Professor Chester B. Cabalza. Agyaman, mabalo, mabalat, mabalas, and thank you, sir. Signed, Mr. Nino Kevin D. Baclig, the Museum Director, Curator 1. Signed, General Edgar B. Aglipay, Governor, Province of Cagayan. A round of applause naman po dyan. Thank you, Prof. Cabalza. So without further ado po, pupunta na po tayo sa ating next speaker. Yan, so tinatawag ko po si Sir Kevin to introduce us to our next speaker.
Once again, good morning everyone. Opo. Our next speaker is a priest of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Ilagan and a distinguished academic and cultural advocate in the Cagayan Valley region. He He holds a master's degree in theology from the Loyola School of Theology at the Ateneo de Manila University, and both master's and doctoral degrees in philosophy from the Institute of Philosophy at the Catholic University of Louvain in Belgium. Currently, he serves as president of St. Ferdinand College in the city of Ilagan, Vicar General of the Diocese of Ilagan, and Dean of the Our Lady of the Visitation Seminary in Kawayan City. One of his advocacies is the preservation and promotion of the Ibanag language by first translating English and Filipino liturgical texts into Ibanag for the local church, 18th century and 19th century Ibanag Spanish resources such as dictionaries, thesauri, grammar texts, novenas, and others into English for contemporary use, and literary texts in English like children's stories, poetry, and slim books such as Antoine de Marie-Exupéry's Le Petit Prince, The Little Prince, into Ibanag for classroom and community use towards language and identity development programs. Dear friends, it is my joy and honor to present to you Reverend Father Edmundo June Castaneda Jr.